what's the good word? It's your boy DKB here. So it's not just me and many of the other New York Jets YouTube creators out here that are talking about the New York Jets playoff chances and finally being able to reach the Super Bowl. We actually have a pretty big name with Dan Orlovsky that's back in the New York Jets as well, and in a pretty significant way. He actually thinks that the New York Jets are one of two teams with a legitimate chance to actually knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. For reference sake, he does mention the other team as the Buffalo Bills, which makes a lot of sense. They've been in a few different nail biters with the Kansas City Chiefs and have come out on the wrong end of being able to continue forward to the Super Bowl. But this is pretty significant because I've said it for a while now. The Kansas City Chiefs are essentially the gatekeepers to being able to advance into the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes on their side. They're essentially capable of anything, even having an overrated, underrated, porous defense, whatever the case is. We know that the defense hasn't been top tier. Behind Patrick Mahomes' arms, anything is possible. So with that being said, let's dive into some of the, at least some of the statements that Dan Orlovsky had to say, and then some of the things prediction-wise that are going out there into what makes the Jets seem like they're going to be such a great success story this year. So in regards to Dan Orlovsky, he mentioned there's two teams that I think are the most equipped to beat Kansas City because that's what this season is about. One is Buffalo, and two are the New York Jets. Those are 1-2 to knock off Kansas City to go back to the Super Bowl, which for the Jets, it will be forever. Just making the playoffs is going to be huge news, even though it's expected because we have the longest drought in sports history for not being able to make it to the playoffs. So we definitely want to end that here and now this season. But going into some of the predictions, before we even dive into that, we know just on a grand scale view of things, the New York Jets have on paper what should be another top 5, at worst top 10 defense in the NFL, and you would expect them to continue to improve in maybe some areas that were weaker. Hopefully maintain some of the areas that were, extreme areas of strength for us, such as man coverage for us, even though third down wasn't necessarily one we were able to excel in, but it's more a factor of being on the field a ton of the time. And a very actually underrated run defense for us, right? And then, of course, you're expecting a strong run game with Breece Hall coming back. You hope for a bounce-back season from Michael Carter. And then you get a little bit excited about what Bam Knight can do for us having a second year in the NFL. And then, of course, the consistency of not having to completely change out an offense would throw in some things. But Aaron Rodgers is the deciding factor for what was a very porous offense for us. So you get the chance to match a top 5, top 10 defense, which will be the best that Aaron Rodgers has arguably played with throughout his entire career. And you match that with an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, which you would expect, as we discussed recently and was also predicted, a top 10 offense. And you're talking about a very, very dangerous team here. So some of the predictions from ESPN side about this, they have us as 6th on their power index ranking. A lot of what they suspect here is definitely the Aaron Rodgers effect. And again, the highlight of a lot of this is going to be pairing a top 10 offense, or at least an average offense, with a top 5, top 10 defense, considering we've kind of been in the bottom third of the roster for quite some time now. Some of the 5 teams that were ahead of us on that power index ranking in chronological order: the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, the Bengals, and the 49ers. And for, argument's sake, a lot of those make sense. The Chiefs, Eagles, they're kind of the perennial, mega teams out here at the moment. The Bills, they've been consistently great, so you expect, Josh Allen continue to pave the way for them. The Bengals have Joe Burrow and what he's able to accomplish there, and if they can ever figure out the offensive line, I would bet that they're probably going to be the next AFC favorites after the Chiefs. And then the 49ers, we know that's Robert Saleh's former team. We know defense runs things for them, but with Kyle Shanahan and that genius that he has to recreate the offense and essentially input any quarterback that he deems worthy in the offense and make it run at an efficient level. So no surprises there for me, no real arguments. We're 8th in best chance to win the Super Bowl. So it doesn't seem like a lot. We're sitting at 4%, but from what I checked out, it's the highest percentage chance that we've had to win a Super Bowl since I believe the last time we won a Super Bowl, somewhere in that range of thinking, or it would have been never. Can't exactly remember what it was ESPN had put there, but either way, definitely the highest percentage that we've had in quite some time. Teams ahead of us: Eagles, Chiefs, 49ers, Bills, Bengals, and Cowboys. All makes a lot of sense. This is, keep in mind, a lot of this is going to be based on history, recent history, how the roster is changing, how the team performed last year versus the expectations this year. So again, no arguments there for me whatsoever. We have a 25% chance to win the division, which is great. I believe the Bills had a 44% and the Dolphins had 23%. So seeing that we're kind of moving up in every single category in terms of the success that the New York Jets are expected to have bodes well for us. And essentially, I guess the headline that would kind of encapsulate this whole thing for us would be, we should be classified as a good team with a tough road to success. And ESPN essentially mentioned the same thing. We could be good, and as pointed out, depending on which site you kind of go to, everybody calculates it a little bit differently. But from generally what I've seen, the New York Jets have the 6th hardest strength of schedule in the NFL. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. I think even the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of the schedule, we're facing everybody from like the Chiefs to the Eagles. I think the Bills and the Dolphins might be thrown in there early. I have to take a look at the breakdown there again, but it's going to be a crazy list of top tier quarterbacks that we're facing once again. So it'll be also interesting to see the parallels of how we handled the starting quarterbacks versus some of the situations we saw last year, where we ended up having to battle backups and different things of that nature. Out of our control, but it'll be worth calling out because that's what a lot of people said kind of boosted whatever level of success the New York Jets were able to obtain last year. So it's going to be a fun season. I can't wait. I already mentioned before, I plan on trying to get my package well ahead of time so I can make sure I can get all my games this season and be able to break those down for you guys. So we'll see how that works out. But let me know what your thoughts are. The New York Jets heading to the Super Bowl, and at least according to Dan Orlovsky, being a team to look out for that can actually beat and conquer the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.